SNP spokesperson Patricia Gibson.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker, and I want to begin by thanking and congratulating the Honourable Member for Rochdale for bringing this debate forward, about which we had quite an interesting chat in the tea room. And I'm delighted to lead for the SNP in this debate on the Irish in Britain. And I lead as a person born in Scotland of two Irish parents, although both now sadly deceased. But I'm proud of my Irish heritage, and I'm also proud of the fact that I am first generation Scottish. And like others in this debate, I was reflecting beforehand on the huge and often overlooked influence of the good people of Ireland on the UK. As Irish immigration echoes through the generations, there is a huge number of distinguished people who have Irish ancestry, and it's really quite impressive when we think of people like Daniel Day-Lewis, A.J. Cronin, Matt Busby, Lorraine Kelly and Jim Kerr from the band Simple Minds. And there's also people like the late Sean Connery, Gerald Butler, Tom Conte, Susan Boyle and even Billy Connolly. There's an impressive list of those who have found success in their respective fields in the UK who, like me, have two Irish parents, such as Morrissey the singer, the late Caroline Aherne, or those who have one Irish parent, such as Steve Coogan, Paul Merton, Julie Walters and Boy George. The list could go on and on and on. The UK would be a very, very different place without the contribution of so much Irish influence in a range of important fields, and the depth and range of that talent is truly remarkable. Irish immigration, and especially to the UK, has been a feature of Ireland's society for hundreds of years, so it's no surprise that the influence of the Irish diaspora is woven into the very fabric of life in every part of the UK, as well as further afield. And we can see that influence has been hugely positive because of the list of names that I and others have read out today. We can see it in the field of singing and songwriting. We can see it in the fields of literature. We can see it in the field of cinema, and even, dare I say it, in the field of politics. Many members of this House today have spoken of their pride in their Irish roots. Ireland has suffered the loss of some of its brightest and best to emigration, a sad feature of Scottish society as well. However, immigration from Ireland has reduced, and increasingly we see Ireland becoming an attractive place for immigrants, and its population has been growing for some years, albeit slowly. My own parents came over from Ireland, from Malin Head, the most northerly part of Ireland, yet still in the south of the country, from Donegal in the 1950s, like so many others, in search of work and a better life in Glasgow, and settled in Govan, where I grew up. My father worked as a labourer, whilst my mother devoted her life to raising her 8 children, of which I am the youngest. Sadly, in the 1950s, the atmosphere and attitude the Irish encountered was not always as welcome as it could have been, as the Honourable Member for Bury North and others has pointed out. But thankfully, things have improved. But at that time, after applying for a council house in 1954, it was not until 1982 that my mother's patience was finally rewarded, and she was finally allocated a council property. The poverty in which my parents lived and raised their family was scarring, as poverty so often is, and it ultimately destroyed their health and led to their premature deaths. My father died when I was 15 months old, and my mother died at the age of 54, 32 years ago. But my parents could never have imagined that their youngest daughter, their youngest child of 8, would grow up to have the enormous privilege of securing a university education. They could never have envisaged that I would become an English teacher for 23 years, and they could absolutely never have believed that I would be elected to serve the good people of North Ayrshire and Arran in this or indeed any other parliament. And like the Honourable Lady who spoke before me, I too recall going to school with a St Patrick's Day medal and shamrock pinned to my school uniform. a ritual that every year was observed faithfully. But my story, like so many others in this House, is not unusual, because we know that across so many of the UK, of those with Irish parents or those with Irish roots, have sought to contribute, to make their mark to the nations in which their parents and grandparents and great-grandparents settled, whether that is Scotland, England or anywhere else in the world. As the Honourable Member for Angus indicated, the links between Scotland and Ireland, the strong bonds are well known. And as a small independent country, Scotland can look to Ireland for both example and inspiration. This year, 2022, is a significant year for Ireland as it marks 100 years of an independent, self-governing Free State of Ireland. There is no doubt that the first steps of Ireland as an independent nation brought its own challenges, but no one can surely doubt that this journey, despite its challenges, has been worth it. The value of the destination has undoubtedly made the challenges of that journey worth bearing. And the reason I say this is because Ireland, following her independence, has grown into a confident, prosperous country, one of the richest countries in Europe. Independent of the UK, it has prospered. It has a real sense of national pride and has found its place on the world stage as a confident, outward-looking, liberal, democratic, modern, prosperous and internationally respected independent nation of similar size to Scotland. And I very much echo the sentiments of the lady from Hackney North, that prosperity and freedom are indeed linked, and I look forward to her extending that sentiment to Scotland as well. For those of us in Scotland who believe that Scotland too should become an independent nation, we see this modern Ireland as a beacon, an example of the possibilities and potential which await Scotland when we take our future in our own hands. And when Scotland does so, as I sincerely believe it will, like Ireland, we will cultivate good relations with England, our near neighbour. We will cultivate that relationship as friends, allies, trading partners, I am sure. Just as my Irish parents could never have imagined their 8th child going to university, becoming an English teacher and being elected to serve in Parliament, so too many would never have envisioned how far an independent Ireland has come in 100 years, how it has grown, prospered, earned the respect of its neighbours, both in the European Union and in the wider international family of nations. Scotland can indeed learn much from Ireland's economic and social journey to the nation it has become. So I wish to thank the Honourable Member for Rochdale for bringing this debate forward, and with that I wish to everyone in Ireland and to all those of Irish parentage in this House and beyond, all those with Irish roots, a happy St Patrick's Day.